بناء على طلبكم وتلبية لرغبتكم إليكم مقابلة نادرة لنجم بوليوود سوشانت سينغ راجبوت مترجمة بالعربية. تفاصيل صادمة لم تسمعوها من قبل عن حياته المحسوبية، علاقته بالنساء، طموحاته المستقبلية وتفاعله مع أسئلة الجمهور الشخصية. وقبل عرض المقابلة شجعوني بوضع لايك والاشتراك في القناة ليصلكم كل جديد، ووضع اقتراحاتكم في خانة التعليقات وما تريدونني أن أعرضه لكم في الفيديو القادم، وإليكم التفاصيل.
So I want to go back a little bit to the beginning. You grew up in a middle-class house with 4 older sisters.
Yes.
And you've talked a lot in interviews about being a very shy child who couldn't express himself, but then discovered that he wanted to be an actor. So do you have a memory of the first time you acted?
Yeah, very vividly, because that was the first time when I was actually saying something very confidently in front of strangers. That was back in, I think, 2003-04 with Barry John, and there was this play that I was doing, and that was the first time that I experienced that I can say something and I can influence people.
How old were you?
I was in my first year, probably one of you guys. That was such a fascinating feeling, because I told myself, wow, I can hide behind all these interesting characters. And I'll tell everybody that don't judge me, because it's not me. When I play a character, I kind of find a way to fool myself.
Then you enrolled in an engineering college where you were pretty good academically.
Yes.
But you dropped out because you wanted to be an actor. Tell me about, where did you find the clarity to do that, and what did your parents say?
So first 16, 17 years of my life, I somehow convinced myself that I don't need to speak. Because
At all?
At all. Well, I had like 2, 3 friends, and I was very open with them, but then that's it. Because, like you said, I had 4 sisters. I was so pampered and protected in my family that when I used to step out as a kid, I didn't know how to deal with people. So I was like, why are they not treating me as my family? It was a complete contrast, and I was like, okay, let me not say anything. That's very safe. So it happened for first 16, 17 years of my life. I told myself, okay, let me be very good in studies, and that's how I can have a place in society. But I think Shamak was the first one who got me into dancing on stage, and I realized that, okay, I can not say anything and
Still express myself.
And perform in a way that I can influence people in some sort of a way. And then he asked me to join theater. And the first play that I did, I was like, wow, what is this? What is exactly what I was missing to communicate? I'm like, I think that's the most important thing that we miss or we want in our lives. We want to be understood by somebody else. And when you act, that is what happens. I mean, like, when that resonance happens, when you feel something, you
connect it.
And they get it. That's the resonance that happens, and you feel so good about it. So I took 3 years into thinking that, okay, is it just that I want to be next Shah Rukh Khan? Or
a lot of dreams that man has inspired.
Yes, or it is the thing that I'm doing right now that excites me so much. And I was sure in the 3 years of doing theater, and I was like, wow, I'll be wasting another year in doing engineering.
So 3 years of engineering.
Yep. I was like just there. 2 more semesters and I would have been an engineer, and probably...
and we would have been a lot sadder, right?
my dad would be very happy. He still tells me all the time that I know that you're doing well and everything, and I like you when you act. But that degree, man, you could have... My engineering college, it's a secret between us. My engineering college has asked me to come there and give a talk and just interact with students. And I very humbly I've requested them to give my degree back.
They do. Tell me about the day you made that decision, and that clarity that comes with, you're this age and you say, I'm almost there. An engineering degree is such a big thing in India. How do you take that call when you're that young?
I think most of the time, so I think we are so conditioned into thinking that there will be a day when we'll do something, and that's when people will recognize who you are, and that will be the day. But then there is a thing in psychology which we call impact bias, where we have this tendency of overestimating the hedonic impact of anything that has to do with the future. So what we think is that, okay, if I get there, that is the thing, then everything will change. Or if I fail, then that's the end. But it doesn't happen like that. Like when I started making a lot of money when I was in TV, and money was a big differentiator in my life, by the way. And when people started recognizing me for the first time, it's a very strange feeling. But when they did, I was feeling I was very excited. I used to go to malls and all, so that people would just
You
talk
just
to
go
me.
for just to be recognized.
I would do that. But after a point of time, say 3 months, 4 months, you get used to it, and you come back to the same mental state. So it is not what would drive you for the rest of your life. No matter how successful you are, no matter how rich or recognized you are, I think it's not pursuit of happiness, it's the habit of happiness. So when you do what you want to do, you don't care what people say.
But then you quit engineering. He goes into theatre, he goes into television, becomes extremely successful in Pavitra Rishta.
Yeah.
You know, hey,
You
don't
guys
diss
remember
it.
it,
Yeah, don't diss it. You were a big television star. You had money, you had fame, you had people in the mall recognizing you. And then, no, guys, and then this is the kicker. At the peak of this television success, he quits again because he now wants to do something else. Where does that come from? See, it's not very easy, but it's comparatively easier to, let's say engineering, I'm not going to do, I'm going to pursue this. But when you're in a very comfortable state, when you're successful, how do you walk away from success to pursue something that you think will satisfy you?
It's a very simple thing. You just need to stop and reflect what you're doing. That's it. Normally what happens is after such a strong momentum and conditioning, when we get what we want, we somehow find a way to fool ourselves that this is what we want for the rest of our lives. But it's not the case. If I don't know how to go about my next project, that keeps me excited. Like I'll give you an example. The film that I was supposed to do in November got pushed because of some reason, and I had 3 months of free time. I think Feb is the time when my next film is starting.
Abhi.
So there were 3 months of free time in between. And there are like many film offers in between. So I could have gone for one of them, but nothing excited me.
Has now become, of course, far more professional. There are corporates, there's studios, there's it's a very different place from when I first started working. But it's still very much a family-run business.
Yes.
It is still, no matter what we think and what we say, it is a very nepotistic place. As an outsider, how difficult was it for you to negotiate this?
It would be very right for me to say anything about this because I got all the films that I did and all the films that I'm doing in next 2 years. These are the films that I really wanted to do, not because these were the best offered to me, but these are the films that I really wanted to do. So I didn't have to wait in between. I got the films that I wanted to do, so I can't complain. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. It is there. When you're successful in a way that people recognize it, your film does well at box office. When you are successful as an outsider, you'll be discussed, but in a very hushed tone, and that's about it. And people are willing to just forget about it. But if you're an insider and you win, you're successful, it's multiplied by 10. If you lose, it's divided by 10. So that's the mathematics. But of course, you'll be affected when you're trying to make a point, to get that feedback from people around. But I don't. I'm not saying that I don't care what you feel when you watch my film.
Sushant, do you have any rituals that you follow to hone your craft? Like I read somewhere that when you start to play a character, you always find a song for each character?
Yes. Because I tried to find a way, I tried reading many books, but nothing helps, They tell you how to do the research, what are the things, what is the format, and you do it, but when you're in front of the camera, you cannot play that research for some reason. I mean, it's there in your head, but it doesn't translate into what you do. I think I started as a dancer, So I get the
So
rhythm
it
correct.
connects.
Rhythm correct. So I just somehow find a song for each and every character of mine. Probably when I tell it to you, you won't find any connection between the two.
Somebody asked you, Sushant, in an interview about becoming a star. And you said, I don't know what that is and I don't intend to become one. Are you not at all seduced by the notion of stardom?
No, if you give it to me, I keep it. Because I don't know what I would do without it. So I'll just keep it. But at the same time, if you don't give it to me, I don't miss it. Because that's not something that I'm looking forward to. I'll be very honest, when I started, that was the incentive that I was... am I...
Now you're back on.
Yeah. So that was the incentive that I was trying to give myself into dropping out of the college.
That you'll be a star one day.
Yeah, I'll be a star. I'll be the next thing. That's it. So I convinced myself, and I wanted that to some extent, just because I didn't have those things. All my 18, 19 years of my life, nobody actually looked at me and said that, oh, you exist. Nobody. Although we were not that poor or something, but then money was a differentiator in each and every decision that my family used to take. And I remember wanting to go to this university, but I couldn't because I didn't have that much money, and I was a small kid. And I was like, wow, it's such an unfair world because I can't do something that I want to do because I don't have something and you don't have it. A small part of it can buy you a lot of things. But after that point of inflection, a lot will buy you just a small thing. So that is the irony of it. I realized it thanks to TV because I got that recognition, I got money, and I realized, wow, that's it. This is what I was working for. But thankfully, I was doing something that kept me going, that I really wanted to do. So you tell me I'm a superstar, I'll take it. You'll tell me that you're the biggest star. You would be the biggest star of this industry, and I'll say probably yes. And if you tell me that I don't think that you're a star, I'm with you. So I don't care.
You also said you don't know how much money you have in your bank balance. Is that true?
Yes, not that I have too much, but I don't care. Because
you don't care or you don't know?
I don't know. Or I also don't care. I don't know because I don't care. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I know that I have that much that I can go about everything that I want to do in my life. Like, I'll give you an example. I was wearing the same thing in the gym for like 4 or 5 months. And I was like, what are you doing? You're a star. So,
you know, what we see so much, especially the media, you know, the Hindi film industry and stars are covered endlessly. We read about you guys every single day. What we see is that part of your life that is buying the 30 lakh bike because you feel like it, okay? What we see is the glamour, is the red carpet, is all of that. What we don't see really is the failure, which is also very public.
Yeah.
You know, you've had films that didn't do well, films that you really put your heart and soul into, like
Vyomkesh.
Yeah, Vyomkesh, which I love, but you know, not many other people did. You were doing Pani with Shekhar Kapoor, and after months and months of prep and conversation, that project doesn't take off. Now, I know you said you gained from just those conversations with Shekhar, but that night when you know it's not happening, or that Friday night when the film is dead on arrival, how do you move forward? How do you get up the next Saturday morning and say, I'm going to do it all over again?
I do it all the time, and trust me, you all do it all the time. That thing that what your Friday is when your film releases, the next Friday, you'll come back to the same mental state. Even if it's and I think it's an experiment that has been done since many years. So a very successful, good-looking guy becomes paraplegic, and a regular guy wins a lottery. So there is a huge spike in both the graphs, and after 6 months, they come back to their neutral position. Everybody of them. So this is what we do so we overestimate the impact that's going to happen if we are successful or if we fail, but it doesn't happen.
Okay, with that, I'd like to open it out to you guys. Who has a question? And let's keep it to film, people. Let's not go into demonetization and other things. Please.
Hi, I'm Nidhi, and I'm doing second year PMM.
Hi.
So my question is, what do you think is more challenging? Working in films or working for television?
Equally challenging and no challenge at all at the same time. Because as I said, if you really like doing what you want to do, then you are performing in front of a live audience or a TV camera. I don't know what camera is that, but I would do the same. So it's just that. So no challenge and equally challenging at the same time. Paychecks are different.
I'm Dave from FIGC, and my question is: at what age did you recognize your passion for films? And who's that one person?
I think the first time I was not aware of it, and then the second time it happened. So first time when I entered this college after slogging a lot, and I look around and I'm like, wow, there are no girls. This is cheating.
That's the real reason you quit engineering.
That is the thing. You are told, you are conditioned that one day you'll be very successful, you get a good job, and then probably a nice girl. So you go about it, and you have successfully crossed 2 levels of it, and you look around, and there are no girls to actually tell you that you're so good. So like, wow, this is not done. So one of my very, very close friends, he's still a very close friend, he told me that, okay, you know what, you should try and join a dance school or something, because I've heard that there are very hot girls coming there. So like, yeah, I'll go for it. And I joined Shamak, and
So all this amazing career was just driven by women.
yes. So this was when I was not aware of my calling, or probably I was thinking it was some other calling at that point of time. But when I went there, I'm not talking about girls, that's a different story. But I realized that, wow, I actually also like to perform. And that's why I'm sitting here and answering your question.
The second question.
Oh yeah, whose career would you like to emulate?
My career, I would like to be what I want to be 20 years down the line. So if I get there, I'll be very happy. There's one thing that I think James Dean said, if I'm not wrong. He said that it's very hard to be a good actor. It's harder to be a good human being, and I want to be both before I'm done. So probably that.
Well, hello.
Hi.
My name is Sonali and I'm a second year mass media student. So my question for you is, as being a media student, we know the pros and cons of media. So I would love to know, how do you personally deal with criticism, rumors, failures, etc.?
I'll answer your first thing, criticism, because failures and successes are very subjective, and I'm very solid in that respect. But I realize that even when I insulate myself with these two things, criticism is something that can actually bother you all the time. So I was like, okay, let me act in a way so that they say the same thing that I'm expecting, but it doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time it doesn't. So I was like, okay, so what's the other way? So let me just completely cut off. And if you don't get to know what they're saying, you can imagine whatever you want to be. And that's how I do it. I call it a Teflon coating. I don't read newspapers, I don't watch TV, Netflix, good. But I don't get to know what people are saying unless you walk up to me and say that you were bad or good or whatever, and I'll forget it in the next 10 minutes. But that's it.